LSP presents.
It's Lisp.
Lisp presents.
What does that stand for? Oh, look at that title.
Law Suburbia Productions presents a Law Suburbia movie.
Whoa.
That's pretty cool. Hi, my name is Peter Bune.
I'm Sean King, and we made this movie.
Yeah, you should get used to the... actually, to begin, I think someone commented that there's grammar inconsistencies with this paragraph.
Oh, of course there is. Who the fuck was
Comprise this film. I think that's where the grammar is incorrect.
Well, just, you come to expect that from a backyard movie like this, right?
This is a backyard. Mount Misery. Well, to start, I'm Peter Bune. I'm a co-producer, and I wrote and directed Lady of the Lake Ronkonkoma.
Right, and I'm Sean Q. King, and I wrote and directed and produced, along with the other fine men and women, I directed the Mary's Grave portion.
And we're doing this commentary because it's been 10 years since we released Lost Suburbia, since it was released in theaters.
Shit, yeah, that's right.
And you should be seeing Joe Giaquinto on screen right now.
What does he do for a living?
He's a paranormal investigator.
And Mark Moran of... Oh. Yeah, here we go. We don't have to say who they are because the...
How did we get Weird US in the movie?
I think we just emailed them. We got the email in a book, and we were like, hey, guys... Have you ever been to Long Island? Mm-hmm. You know any weird shit in Long Island? They're like, yeah.
They know plenty, and
they had a cool, like,
there's a book series and a TV show.
Yeah, and then they invited us into their shop
in Edison, New Jersey.
Yeah, which was a really cool loft they had, and they were doing their show at the time. They were doing their TV show, which was a short-lived thing.
So Lost Suburbia is 4 ghost stories, 4 Long Island-based ghost stories. Half documentary, half narrative, original narrative. And I wasn't familiar with Mount Misery until we worked on this. I think we started this way back in 2004 when I started working at the Cinema Arts Center and met Paul Natale, who directed this film. And I introduced Paul to Sean. And
that's right. We're in the Mount Misery
portion of the movie.
Yes.
It just gets right in there.
Right, it does.
It does.
It's waste no time.
It's waste no time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you met Paul first because you worked with him.
We worked together at the Cinema Arts Center, and just his taste and his love of horror movies, I instantly thought you have to meet my friend Sean King, who I work with. Paul was wanting to get into the film industry. I've been working with Sean 10 years, but at that point. And that you guys hit it off like instantly.
Yeah, well, you guys were talking about making a short film at the cinema, as the cinema was going to be the location for a slasher movie.
Yeah, you acted in his short film.
Right. Yeah, you're
called Unreal.
Right. Paul's lead actor dropped out, and you were like, well, since you were going to meet my friend Sean anyway, consider him being in the movie, and we did that, and that worked great, and we all loved each other.
Who are these guys? Who are these 2 guys? I wasn't there for any of the documentary portion, so it was like you and Terry and Paul did all of the documentary stuff. Right?
I hope we credited these fellas because they came out on their day off and showed us where they saw ghosts.
Someone must have, maybe Duska. So yeah, the way this project started, I was talking to Paul, and you and Chris Rossinello.
Yeah, we were doing little videos too. Chris Rossinello departed the project, but he helped us develop it.
If you hear us say Duska, that's Chris Rossinello.
Right, so let's call him Duska here.
Duska, yeah. And he's a co-producer in this movie. Credited producer. He had a project. He wanted to do something on the Montauk Project.
Right, which was a juggernaut of an idea.
Which is Stranger Things now.
Right, yeah. If anybody knows anything about... Well, first of all, Long Island is like New York's dick. And if nobody knows where it is, it's
the clit of New York.
Right, it shoots off in New York City and then just goes into like the wilderness.
It's a myth.
Yeah, and the farther east you go, the weirder it gets, and the farthest east you go is Montauk Point, and that's where
Chris's project was supposed to be.
Right, and it's been called the mother of all conspiracies.
Mm-hmm. And if you're a Stranger Things fan, it's based on a lot of the ideas.
Right, and if you want to see the definitive documentary on that, you can watch Chris Garitano's Montauk Chronicles.
Right.
Who Chris actually helped us shoot a little bit of footage on this one.
Mount Misery Road.
That turned out to be a little too much for everybody to handle. Mm-hmm. So eventually we had to kind of...
Oh, it was a juggernaut.
Yeah.
Chris's script. Yeah.
Right. But to go back to how we all came together, Chris and I, Duska and I, were talking about doing some kind of ghost story on that, and then you and Paul were talking about doing some kind of local ghost story, and then we're like, well, shit, man, we know somebody else. Like, I think we were thinking of some of our other friends who made movies, and we're like, well, we can just, if we made 4 or so of these movies,
We could put them together.
We could put them together, and there was like the anthology genre wasn't like a big deal at the time, though.
Yeah, like 5 years later, it blew up.
Yeah, it you know, it came back eventually.
Like VHS and ABCs of Death. Or,
right. So this was still late 2004, right?
Yeah. Once again, we were way ahead of our time.
Of course. Well, you know, you would not have a VHS if you didn't have Lost Suburbia. That's what the VHS producers told us.
Right. Also, there's Carrie Ann Flanagan, who's a local author. She's a published author. She's released books about Long Island, ghost stories and crime stories, and these guys were really helpful in putting this together.
They're like the Mulder and Scully of Long Island.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we got them for the movie, and everybody's just so sweet and so cool.
Misery Loves. Here comes the narrative portion.
Well, yeah, what's cool about this, and this is what everybody kind of grabbed onto with this movie, is that it's part History Channel stuff and then part movie, like part narrative.
Right.
And like we never saw that done before.
Right.
And since we wanted to do documentary films and narrative films, we're like, well, shit, let's do like a lead-in doc with our own contemporary story of what happens if you explored these myths now. Right? Mm-hmm. That was the whole hook.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how we had a fundraiser. We had 2 fundraising parties. Right?
Right, yeah, we did. Yeah, we actually, once we got our ducks in a row, once we got our stories together, we went like, we went to the like local libraries and the microfilm, and we...
Oh, can we just introduce some of these guys first?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
That was just Anthony Greco that just entered, but that's Rob Alvarado.
Yes.
He worked at the Cinema Arts Center, and I remember auditioning him. Like, he's a friend of ours. He's a coworker, and I remember Paul asked him. We went in the back of the cinema. He says, "Can you just read, and we'll do a test?" And he did it, and Paul's like, "Yeah, I was gonna cast you anyway."
Yeah. Well, you have to say the Cinema Arts Center was like the hub of
everything. That's Matt Roran.
Yeah. Who works there now? It didn't work there then. But the Cinema Arts Center was like the home base. It was like the living room. It was the fucking meeting place. It was where we did wardrobe, costumes.
It fed us.
Yeah, everything was.
We got to watch movies there after hours. We were allowed to like hang out there after hours, which was key.
Yes, right.
We would have meetings there. We would have script meetings.
And the other
production meetings.
The other fella here is Cody Lightning, who is hilarious, and that's Ives Neal.
Ives Neal also worked at cinema.
And there's Cody.
Cody Lightning.
Cody Lightning from X-Files.
He was in the X-Files.
And Brick. He was in Brick.
Was he in Brick? Oh, he was in Brick.
And he was in the lost Johnny Depp movie, The Brave. He played Johnny Depp's kid.
And he was in Smoke Signals.
That's right, yeah.
As a kid.
Right, exactly. So.
Great guy. We had a lot of fun working with him.
Funniest, nicest guy. One of the funniest people you ever meet. And he'd been in Hollywood forever, since a little kid.
Since he was a kid.
Yeah.
And at this point, he was living in Brooklyn. And he came out to the audition at the Cinema Arts Center.
And he's dead now.
No. Oh my God, dude. No, he's alive and well.
No,
he's great.
He's
great.
He's fine.
He
recovered.
Facebook.
He didn't die.
But what the hell did that come from?
But this house was Laura Chicatano's house, and
so we were talking about the fundraisers.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And what we did, we kind of acted in each other's short versions. Chris helped edit and produce our fundraising movies.
That was
Duska. And I actually acted in Paul. In this version, we did like a 2-minute version of this narrative where I played the lead, which is why Cody's name is Peter. Like Paul kept the name Peter.
Oh yeah, okay.
So and the leads were me and Laura Chicatano.
Yeah, that's right. And we each were assigned, once we had our scripts or treatments, we were assigned to do a 2-minute teaser for each one of our,
which we showed at the fundraising parties.
Right, and we raised like maybe $1,500 at that first one. In cash, and that was just by local people showing up and just like writing checks.
We threw a party.
Yeah.
The catering was donated, or it was and
that's right. We tried to get as much free shit as possible.
The Cinema Arts Center donated the time, gave it to us for free. Our parents threw in money. Our friends, our family members.
That's right.
And just people that the Cinema Arts Center.
My dad said, "Good luck." He didn't give me any money. No, I'm just kidding.
This diner, is this the actual Sweet Hollow Diner?
Yeah, this is when it was open on Route 110 in Melville, New York. Yeah.
So I did know about Sweet Hollow Road.
You did know about it?
I did know, and when I was a teenager in high school, me and my friends, there's Laura Chicatano, and that's Elizabeth Brissenden, who the one on the right is Laura, and she was my co-star in the fundraising films, and that's Sheena Yamato.
We're gonna say every actor's name because they did everything for free, and they're unbelievable people,
and they were great friends of ours.
Yes. And we
good times
very
making
much.
this movie.
Yeah.
Great memories making this movie.
But what you were saying is a good thing because people should know that we actually, like growing up on Long Island, this is what you did when you were like, a teenager.
So this diner, off the side of this diner is the Sweet Hollow Road.
Right. You explored these spots, these kind of
and there's a
spots.
lot of ghost stories attached to this road. One including a cop with his head blown off. Like, if you get pulled over by a cop, don't stop.
Yeah, all the famous ones, like the creepy dog, like all the famous ones happen on Sweet Hollow Road, right?
Yeah.
Even Mary's grave is on Sweet Hollow. Like
that's your movie.
It's just like a potpourri of all of the stories, basically. Yeah. But the main one, the coolest one, is what Paul picked,
Mount Misery,
which was the Suicide Pact.
I never heard about that until. But then
they're kind of separate, right?
Wasn't there a ghost story where you could see like teenagers hanging off the tunnel that's there, the expressway,
the overpass, which you'll see frequently in this movie. Yeah, you'll see. It's one of those things where you blink your lights and you'll see the shadows of them hanging. Yeah, but in reality, they supposedly hung themselves in the woods in Mount Misery, which was one of the highest points of Long Island. They called it Mount Misery because the horses and carriages had a miserable time going over the hill. Basically. Right. That's where the name comes from. So I just spoiled the whole
modern interpretation is teenagers hung themselves.
Yeah, somebody made up a story because the name was cool. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because we did like crazy research on these myths to really kind of see how legitimate they were. Right.
Right.
So we talked to historians. We went to fucking like the libraries. We did all of this research. We printed up articles and we tried to I remember doing so much research on Mary's grave that I could not sleep at night because I was so scared that Mary was like.
When we get to mine, I'll tell you how scared I was.
But it was great because you don't really get a history lesson like that often where you live.
But I think there's Steve. Yeah, there's like in the background actors are also Cinema Art Center. Yeah, so this is actually Sweet Hollow Road, which is really dark.
Right.
Driving there, Sweet Hollow Road, right there.
Oh my God, look at that! Yes, it's a sign.
Yeah,
and there's some horrible video effect happening now because of. Yeah, this is very primitive. We didn't really know much about shooting movies back then, so let's just say that.
We were coming off finishing Slacker TV, which was a public access show that we did for 7 years. And we were doing a new project called The Gooligans as we were also making this, right?
Yeah.
So we were kind of learning as we were going because we never made a feature.
Yeah, we weren't really filmmakers. We were just like sketch comedians.
And we were sketch comedians, public access comedians.
But we always thought we were filmmakers, but we really weren't.
That was our film school.
Yeah, pretty much.
We were also doing post-production on Freaks, Nerds, and Romantics at this time.
Oh my God! So we had 2 features in the works at one point, and a TV series or a web series at least.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Yeah,
we were just like grinding.
There's the overpass. That's the overpass. That's the actual.
Oh my God! See the shadows of the kids hanging out.
There was an element of like I was a little nervous whenever we would shoot at the actual locations.
Well, yeah, because you're getting out there and we're shooting at midnight and we're we're out there in the woods in the total pitch black and supposed haunted woods. Where, you're like, oh, can you go walk down that road and go get this thing I left there? And
that was part of the appeal and also scary.
So looping back, we did one fundraiser. We raised, which was not nearly enough money, but we were making it work. And then we had a second fundraiser a few months later, and our friend's band played, and we raised like another $800, $500 or something like that, which wasn't a lot. And then we wound up with about $2,000. Right, cash. And I forgot whose bank account it went into, or whatever. But
you'll see the names of all the donors at the end in the end credits.
Yeah, so this was pre-Kickstarter and all that business. So it was like you just had to have a party and ask for people to hand you over money.
Who was this guy with Anthony Greco again? He was nice. He was cool.
Mike DeLuca.
Mike DeLuca.
Is that Mike DeLuca or I forgot? I think Mike DeLuca is his cousin, who was like a big New Line Cinema producer or something like that. But
who was he friends with? Was he friends with Chris?
He was friends with I want to say Duska. Yeah. And I
wanted to see what they're like. I want to see a movie with just these two guys.
And his cousin is Mike DeLuca, who's like a fucking like a president of like a studio exec. And I remember we were always like, hey, can you probably just talk to him? Maybe tell him we're making a movie. And he's like, yeah, bro, sure. And never, it's like we were like, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
So the aesthetic that these kids that Paul wanted, they were like Columbine kids, weren't they? They were like metal kids.
Yeah, this was a few years after that, so I guess this was like there was the Columbine influence, and then also on Long Island you had you had a lot of local stories, which I'm sure a lot of rural areas have of the suicide kids or the satanic cult.
Say You Love Satan.
Yeah, all that shit.
From Northport.
Yeah, so especially on Long Island, you have Say You Love Satan, which is like a very prolific, like teenage satanic panic story,
Mm-hmm.
So Paul, being Paul, he, fascinated by that kind of stuff, and we were too, and, being younger guys, we were, thought it was really cool, I guess, I don't know. We're listening to a lot of, Korn and Disturbed at the time. We were just like
Stained.
Yeah, we were like, no, we weren't doing it. But we started production after we got those monies. We started production.
We started casting.
Oh, we started casting in 2005.
The beginning, January 2005.
Yeah, and we had people come, and we kept them come to Long Island and cast, which was weird. We put ads in like Craigslist or MySpace and shit like that. And through friends and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we cast mostly friends, but there was a few keys that we needed.
I love that part. He's so good in this part.
Like Anthony, he was just the funniest, nicest guy. So we're like, well, if he's
There's
funny,
his ass.
If
Boom, ass.
If these guys are funny and smart and genuinely cool, like maybe that'll translate over into the movie, and it pretty much did for everybody.
I remember testing these the harnesses that we used.
Ooh.
And
yes, I remember.
First,
too.
Paul wanted to make sure we tested it on ourselves. Like, if we can't like ask you to do something that we can't do. And I remember it was so painful.
I think I was the first one to do it.
It was so painful to hang by your crotch.
Yeah, these were like rock climbing harnesses. These weren't like hanging harnesses.
Right.
So they were just like there to give you a little support, but we were just like.
And
they ripped your fucking balls up into your
every
forehead.
Actor in every movie, such troopers.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember Matt was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But although they're not being hung by their neck, they are struggling
They're being hung by their fucking crotch.
By
basically.
their dicks.
Yeah.
We hung them by their dicks.
And you'll see shots like this that like we really pushed like the screen time to the limit, because like we probably one frame off of like cutting, they were just like, give me the fuck down.
Yeah. We had to like put them on our shoulders.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, they were sitting. I remember they were sitting on our shoulders until roll.
Yeah, and then we would just squat down like really low, and we would get a low angle shot.
Yeah,
and then we would hide out of.
I heard that's how Michael Bay does it too, right?
And they haven't improved the hanging effects and rigs since. So
nope.
This is a fucked up scene, man.
This is really.
So
harsh.
what do you do when you bitch out of a suicide pact? You can't leave any witnesses. So boom. So there you go.
Spoiler alert. Are you guys ready? This is like a Jacob Ladders scenario, isn't it? This
is like
is Jacob Ladders.
Is that what happened in Jacob's Ladder?
At the end?
Yeah. He was dead the whole time. Occurrence at Occurrence at Owl Creek. Sorry,
you're right. Yeah.
There you go. Like that, right?
I didn't know you were gonna go so literary.
Well,
I didn't know Sean was well read.
Yeah,
I was also gonna say last Temptation of Christ. The end,
okay, yeah.
The end of Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah.
Where
there's the overpass again. On
so Cody's character Peter actually did kill himself.
Yeah, he gets hung like twice. In
this
movie, right? Fuck.
But this is what you're seeing now is pretty much what he wishes he did.
Yeah.
Right before he hung himself.
I don't know what towns we're driving through here, but we would just.
This looks really cool though. This was edited really.
Who edited this one?
I think Paul did it himself.
Paul edited his piece. He wrote, directed, edited his one.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about it was we all made a pact because it was pretty
a suicide
obvious.
pact.
Yeah, we committed career suicide after this.
Oh shit!
But no, we basically said the only way this movie's gonna work is that there's 4 writers directors at this point. There was Pete Bune, Sean King, Paul Natale, and Chris Russinella, who's Duska. And we were like, this was the early time. This was before production started, or when we were starting production. And we said, well, you'll be the writer director of your movie, but we'll all crew I'll shoot the movie. Pete will be, kind of like, gaffer or a grip or whatever, and we'll all cater. We'll all do the shit work. We'll all do everything.
That's the only way it worked.
We'll all sound up. We'll all take turns. Pete shot some stuff. I did sound. It's like whatever the fuck we did, you could always count on the 4 or 5 eventually people, along with John Robert Mariani, who was a major contributor to this movie.
We met him doing this project.
Yeah, and he was the only other one.
Because this movie's almost done. I just want to say, I think a lot of us had a crush on Elizabeth Brissenden while we were shooting this.
I still do. She was
adorable. Such a delight. She was such a delight to work with. I feel like when you watch this, you're putting her through hell, because she was kind of method, where she would put herself in mental scenarios where she would get upset.
Yeah, we never saw that. She would go like to her little quiet
corner,
her little place, and
I remember because coming up, she's gonna see her ex-boyfriend hanging himself, and she's crying, and it's like the best performance in the entire movie. Cody's pretty good here too.
Yeah,
but afterwards, I don't know if she told everyone, but I remember she told me that she found out that like a friend or someone she knew like died that morning.
That same day?
Yeah.
Oh shit! So she had plenty to pull from.
Oh
man, that's
I remember just being like, "Are you sure you want to be here?" She's like, "Yeah, let's just do this."
Wow.
She used it. So when you see her cry, she's going through something.
Why isn't she famous yet? I think.
Oh, look at that! That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's you can see some of the behind the scenes stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Oh man.
That's supposed to be an old Suicide Scar opening up.
Yeah.
If nobody knows, it's kind of not translated over much, is it?
It just looks
Good
cool.
job, Paul.
It just looks cool.
Yeah. Oh, this is Paul Natale's segment, we should say. Right. Who lives in Amsterdam now.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make movies anymore. Paul, what the fuck?
You should be. You're a great filmmaker, man.
An amazing filmmaker. Making another movie.
Sorry you're not here to do the commentary with us.
Right.
We could have Skyped you in, but we were too lazy to call you.
This project started with Peter and Paul separately, and then me and Duska separately. We came together. We all produced scripts, and like I said before, Chris Duska's script, we realized that it wasn't going to be possible with the resources that we had. So I called upon a filmmaker buddy of mine, my partner at the time making movies, called Terrence Smith. And
that's awesome.
I told him, this is a very cool sequence, yeah.
Good job, Sean.
It's Paul, man. It's Paul directing.
You shot
these guys' eyes. It's the fucking eyes.
Oh, wait. I know you're about to get into the thing, but like, yeah just pay attention to this performance, because like, it's sad when you know that she's actually sad.
Yeah, and look at that real sweat too, probably because it was like 120 degrees in that garage.
Yeah.
But
was this Paul's garage?
This was I don't know whose fucking house this was, man. I have no idea. Was it Chris DeLuca's? Chris DeLuca. Was it his house?
Really?
I forgot. I don't know. But whoever's house it was, thank you so much for letting us hang kids in the audience.
Right here.
In the garage.
Oh my god.
They can watch the movie. We got to talk about it, though.
I feel so bad.
There's so much to talk about.
I know.
So once Chris Duska realized that we couldn't do the Montauk thing, he was kind of under pressure, and he was like, I got to, back out. And we were like, that's cool. Terrence Smith and his wife, Elizabeth, came on to write a movie about the Kings Park location.
The psychiatric center.
The psychiatric center.
Which is coming up in 2 movies.
Right, yeah. That's coming up later, but I just want to kind of preface this formation of the team.
These two, that's Pete Calco and Anna. Oh my gosh, she's going to kill me.
Hold on a second.
But they're also Cinema Arts Center friends of ours and great people. Also helped out a lot.
Yes. See, the thing is, you could not even imagine making this movie without all these people, because it just would not be possible. Because we didn't pay anybody.
Look at her cry, man. Holy shit. I just want to hug her.
What was her name?
I just want to hug
Anna?
her.
Who was Anna Franzetti? Is that it?
Yeah.
Franzetti, yeah. Okay, I got the IMDb open because...
Oh, here's the big reveal.
We're old now.
Here's the Shalaman twist of it all.
Shalaman?
Here's the Shalaman twist.
Shalaman.
Meanwhile...
Oh, shit. I love his reaction. He's like laughs. His fucking brother just like...
We just had Anthony Greco on our podcast a few weeks ago, and he looks incredible.
Yeah.
He lost 100 pounds, he said?
I just love his reaction. He's like, motherfuckers actually did it.
Yeah.
That's the typical
There it
kind of
is.
like dirtbag thing to do.
There he is.
And
He's
these poor kids actually had to for this long zoom out master shot. These guys, these fucking heroes, actually you can't see. Oh, are we actually crouched down underneath them at this point?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's framed out. I don't know. I think you see one full body, but we're probably propping them up because of the
There might have been ladders.
the amazing strain on their crotches
on
right
their
here,
dicks and their
from these
butts.
but they are hanging. They definitely are hanging.
You could see all 4 of them.
Matt's definitely hanging because he's swaying.
Oh, man.
And you got to look hard to see it because it's kind of the
brutal,
shot is
man.
a little.
Look, and there's like the Mystery Science Theater shot that Paul loves to do.
And since that was a zoom out, we shot this as a zoom out too. But then Paul later realized that he wanted to zoom in.
Really?
So this shot is in reverse actually. If you see, it looks like they're, especially Elizabeth there.
What?
She's acting in reverse a little bit. Yeah.
I did not.
You can
know
notice
that.
it right there at that move right there. You
That's
can't
a
see
nice
it.
tip.
But
That's
yeah.
a nice tip. Good. I mean, it's a nice
just-
little tidbit.
He inverted that shot. Yeah.
I didn't know that. 10 years, I had no clue. And here's the shittiest one of them all.
Yeah, this one sucks. Well,
I love this one, Sean.
I'm not going to apologize for
This
the
is good.
terrible. Like,
The original
production.
title was "Don't Go Looking for Mary's
Don't Go
Grave."
Looking for Mary's Grave, right? Yeah, exactly. And this takes place in the Smithtown area of New.
God.
Oh my God! Whoa!
Oh,
Is that a real ghost?
that's Jamie Frevely.
Shit. Jamie Frevely was a actress, a model at this point in this movie. But yeah, she was a sport, walking in the graveyards as a ghost.
She's from the Slacker TV team and the Gooligans team.
She's old buddies of ours. She's hilarious and great, and what a sport.
Oh, who's this guy?
This guy, I forgot. He's like a historian. Yeah.
That's what it says.
He's a Long Island historian, Richard Hawkins.
That's
No,
a
these
good
people-
name. That's like a historian's name.
These fucking people were so cool to just take the
look,
time out
it's
and
published.
do this. Like they were so cool to do this. Well, he was the authority on Mary's grave because he was the one who actually like found the right one, told me exactly where it was.
Oh, wow.
The stone wasn't there anymore, but he said, this is where the other ones are, but this is where you got to go to find the real one. And we got pretty damn close to the real supposed grave. Like we were like a couple of yards over.
That's gross.
Because you couldn't get to where the real one was. But we somehow had access to a farmhouse where it was in the same neighborhood. It was like really down the same street.
There's the marks again from
Like
US.
it was very important to us to get as close to, if we couldn't shoot in the actual location where the myth took place, we wanted to get as close as possible.
It's in Head of the Harbor, Smithtown area.
Head of the Harbor, Smithtown area, and there's a series of rivers there.
Oh.
Yeah, these were cool photos that we took. We did a bunch of photo sessions.
So
and made it
these-
look all old timey and stuff.
These documentaries were cut by Terrence Smith, right?
Yes. Terrence
So
Smith,
all of the documentaries, all 4 of the documentaries and the behind-the-scenes stuff were cut by Terry.
he did a buttload of work.
Yeah,
did a
he
tremendous
put all the movies together. So,
Yeah.
and he came in later into the project.
Him and Liz Smith. We gotta talk about Elizabeth Smith. Yeah, they came in later and they threw together their movie. Of course, we were all there to support them, but they were like, okay, cool, we'll do it, but let's learn about what you're doing first. And so I think Terry and Liz maybe helped out on one of the other movies or something like that, but they kind of came in and
We had already shot ours by the time they came in. This
Yeah, we
guy
did.
is awesome.
Yeah. This is the typical kind of,
Long
local
Island.
guy you're gonna
Yeah.
find. Yeah, bro, I used to hang out there, bro. We used to get wasted and bring girls out there.
Yeah.
And it was like,
I'm
yes.
so glad you found this guy.
Me too. All you gotta do is hang out by like the local bars in Smithtown, and hey man, you ever hang out at Mary's
Yeah.
grave? You want to talk about it?
When we had our screening, every time he came on, everyone loved it.
yeah. That's the real guy.
That's a real Long Islander.
So going back to Terry and Liz, like they really saved our asses coming out and doing the Kings Park story, which was again a really hard story to adapt because there's so many stories from the Kings Park Psychiatric Center, which is probably one of the most popular kind of areas where kids go to urban explore. And it's a really creepy area, and there's millions of ghost stories. So they had a real task to kind of boil it down to one story.
Well, going back to right now, we're watching Mary's Grave. How did you learn about Mary's Grave growing up? Why did you pick Mary's Grave?
I used to hang out with my friend Pete Smits and his brother John Smits. And his brother John Smits was probably maybe 6 or 7 years older than us. And we would hop in, just like this shot right now, we would hop in his car, his old Riviera, and we would just drive down these kind of country roads on the North Shore of Long Island.
Oh, those nice.
Yeah, and basically we would, every dirt road we saw, we would just drive down, and we'd be like, oh, we got to check out what's going on down here. And it's usually just, like $1 million estates and whatever. But once in a while, you'll find a cool dirt road or some historic village like this general store. You'll find weird things like that. And one time we drove down this dirt road and we got stuck in the mud, and we got out and walked, right? Excuse me. And we walked down this. It wasn't even like a car road. It was
Jamie
just
looks good there.
It was like a trail.
Continue.
You like that low angle?
Yeah. Thanks. Good job.
And we were John. My friend John was like, "Yeah, there's a Mary's grave around here." So we walked down this trail, and we saw a house. But before we got to the house, there was this swing hanging down. It was like a wood swing. It was an old swing. It looked like it was there for 100 years, Mm-hmm. And me and my friend, we just looked at the swing and we were like, we just turned around and walked back.
Hell no.
Yeah,
nope.
Because they're old houses over there. It was an old house on a hill and the swing, and it looked like I've seen millions of horror movies.
So that's where you got your inspiration of the swing scene?
Yeah. So that's in my mind. That was Mary's grave. Everybody has their own Mary's grave.
Right.
But from there, I did the research and I met these people, like Mark and Richard Hawkins, and then they told me more about what really happened. And it's basically.
So what's the? It's like someone got murdered there, or?
Oh my God! You're gonna try to make me remember what happened at Mary's grave.
Very. Your movie was very John Carpenter-ish.
Yeah.
And what would you say? Paul's coming more from the Italian horror, maybe.
Yeah,
what's he coming from?
I don't know. I mean, you're gonna have to ask Paul his influences, but this was kind of a little bit exploitation-y, much more than the other ones, I think. Because I like to have fun with movies, but
there's Rick Maggio
and
Dade Scott.
Dade Scott. He was known as Dade Scott back then, but now he's oh boy, I can't remember his name right now.
He changed his name?
David London is his name now. I don't think he acts anymore.
We used to call him Superman.
Yeah, but he has such a great look. Both of these guys look like actors, and it's like, fuck it. These guys are great. But Mary's grave, she was a girl who got murdered, and on the anniversary of her death, if you go to her grave, she'll appear. Mm-hmm. But if you desecrate her grave, then you'll get into trouble, basically. That's what it is. And it's an unmarked grave in the woods, and it's like a party spot where people sacrifice chickens and drink beer and get high and, do acid and stuff.
Nice calves.
Check out them gams. Nice stems there, Jennifer Leigh Turner.
That's Jennifer Leigh Turner.
And
James
Alexander had nice legs, too. You just don't see them there.
The actress there, that's Jennifer Leigh Turner. She was from North Carolina, and she drove through a winter storm, to Huntington to audition for us.
I could not believe. I thought she was from New York, and we were just like, "Where are you from?" And she's like, "From North Carolina." And she had the sweetest accent, but she was so nice and so cool. And I was like, "Wait a minute, you came here to
audition?"
And we were just like, "Oh my God,
yeah,
why did you do that?"
And that kind of dedication, we were like, I think. Well, first,
we were like, "You got it." No.
Well, I wanted to thank you, Sean, because during the audition process, you let me read with the actors you were. And then after I read with her, I was like, I
saw hearts actually in your pupils. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all had that too. But I just can't express enough the gratitude, and I probably never said it to her, but I hope I did. But Jesus, like coming from there and then agreeing to
coming back,
and then coming back to New York for a fucking backyard
5
movement?
months later.
What the fuck? I wanted to be like, what is wrong with you? But I love you. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I just wish that we could have done more justice getting this movie around to fucking goddamn all these people just doing this for nothing.
This is the bathroom of the Cinema Arts Center, actually.
Yeah, we pretty much like pillaged that, and we stripped it of its resources.
What was the bar?
The bar was actually across the street from Kings Park Psychiatric Center.
Oh,
and it's
right by the railroad.
No, it's by the power plant.
Oh, okay.
I forgot the name of it, but it changes names all the time. But it's famously haunted bar. And
this guy auditioned really well too.
Oh no, I'm sorry. The exterior was that. The interior was James Alexander. Yeah, he's
great audition.
Very cool guy.
Yeah.
But the interior of that bar was my friend Billy Ziegler or Chris Ziegler.
Right.
What's his name? I forgot. Oh, well. Anyway, thank you guys for letting us use our bar in Kings Park again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's the basic story of Mary's Grave, and I decided to take a little kind of 80s exploitation horror.
I just said John Carpenter because of the score.
Well, the score, that's what a funny story about what happened
and
with
credits,
the score.
The opening credits was like,
yeah,
boom, Mary's Grave.
Well, the opening credits are from the Warriors.
I do see that. I do see that.
With the spray paint, and the fucking flying edge.
I see that now.
I saw the Warriors, and I'm like, that is the coolest title sequence. I'm a big fan of cool title sequences, and if I ever get to make more movies, I'm going to make cool title sequences. Because when you start a movie with a weird title sequence and not something just like kind of like mundane or understated, if you start something with a cool, weird title sequence, you're just like, I'm watching a movie.
Yeah.
I'm not watching like a fucking, like a... It's not... like some movies just go right into the story without a title. I'm like, no, you're watching a movie and it's going to be weird. So that's why I like setting the tone like that.
I remember shooting this because everything was at night.
Oh,
it was
my
like,
God. This was terrible.
Your movie was shot from like a Wednesday to a Saturday morning. Wednesday night into Saturday morning or something like that.
Well, this right here.
Right here, yeah.
That bar interior, these little driving shit was done like probably like with you and I
weeks later.
Yeah, like obviously like way past the
this
actual
stuff.
location. But that bar interior, I remember we had like a fucking, I don't know why we did this, but this is what happens when you're starting to make movies. You don't understand, the code of everything.
Well, starting because like this was the beginning of the shoot, and you see how fresh and everyone looks. Like you could see, I could just tell because like Jennifer's hair is all like.
This was the first night.
Yeah, this is the very first night, and Jennifer's like, because like that bar scene was the last thing we shot, and after like a 2-day.
Well, that was 16 hours at least.
So everyone looks tired and disheveled.
We did like 3 night shoots.
The beginning of the movie, yeah.
Yeah, I think this was 3 night shoots.
We slept during the day.
But the third night, I was like, get ready because eat your fucking Wheaties because the third night is a split. It's like a night and a day. Oof. But the bar interior we shot the morning of the last night shoot. And I don't know why this looks green, but I had my settings off on the camera and it wasn't even. But this was the first time we were using
that sign's
generators.
That sign's
and
fake. You made that sign.
I made that sign.
Oh my God, we lived on this road for 3 nights.
That's in Rick Maggio's dad's driveway right there. That shot. I don't know whose hand that is, but that's my brother's old car that I took from him, and he'd fucking kill me if I destroyed it. And another cool note on this movie: we each had like $500 to make a movie, basically, right. and that covered just travel costs or food or props or makeup or whatever. None of the actors got paid, none of the crew got paid. Mm-hmm. But that was just for the cost, fucking batteries, whatever. It all adds up very quickly. So I had $500.
Jennifer got to stay with me.
Yeah,
thank you for that.
Yeah, that was a big fucking mistake.
That was a mistake.
But I got use of a generator, an old crappy generator, to shoot out in the woods here.
Oh God, that generator.
Yeah.
No, my job on this movie was to keep the generator on.
The generator would run out of gas real quick, and the generator did not have a fucking muffler on it.
And me and Duska and I would have to run.
Yeah.
And turn it back on.
So our only option is
in the dark.
We had about 2,000 feet of extension cord, right? And we had to run it all 2,000 feet down from our location, which you're looking at right here, down into the river, and we had to shoot it out into the river.
What a bunch of fucking idiots!
In the heart, in like the fucking because the sound would bounce back. So we're like, we got to put the sound back. It was so loud without the muffler. Uh-huh. And by the time the extension cords got to where we were, it was like maybe a 5,000 watt generator. And then by the time it got after 2,000 feet of cord, we got like 2,000 watts of light, which was not enough to shoot this movie.
And it would like die like every half hour.
And it would die. It would.
Dusk and I would have to run with flashlights in the dark.
But the only way I can get the generator to this location in the middle of nowhere was my mom's minivan, and I had a gas can.
Whoa.
That dumped over into the back of my mom's minivan, and I had to get that reupholstered, which cost $800.
Oh, that's where your budget went?
No, but I already spent the $500, and I think I spent another couple $100 out of my pocket to finish the movie. But I had to get my mom's minivan reupholstered. It cost me $800. So the movie budget, like the budget of the movie, like tripled by like that much because of the fucking gas can.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you hate women?
No, but
I know you don't. But
no,
like,
I love women, but I'm sticking true to the old misogynistic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, would you make this movie like this now?
Yeah.
You would?
I would, and I can't believe Jennifer Lee Turner never really like had a problem with being treated like
because she's
give me that. And
she's
things,
the complete opposite.
Yeah, I mean,
she's like a good Mormon girl.
Yeah, I mean, I hope she saw the humor in this. I mean, not a lot of people would, and like especially in our climate now, like people would probably be like, oh, you're sick fuck, you're
It's very politically
but these are
up to date.
These are the people I grew up with,
right?
Hanging out with.
No, I get the aesthetic and the vibe and
but
references you're doing.
A female character, I have no clue what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm doing with a male character. So, but yeah, I mean.
No, you wrote Ricky awesome. Ricky's character is great in this.
Ricky's okay, but Jennifer Lee Turner, and I apologize for her character. I mean, I don't have any regrets, but I knew girls like that who would just, just wanted to have fun at all costs and just do weird shit. A real woman wouldn't tolerate this kind of this kind of treatment. Right. But I did know girls, and I used to hang out in the woods with girls like this. Not
high school?
Exactly this
high
extreme.
School time.
Yeah, no, last week. No,
because I met you. We didn't become good friends until after high school.
Yeah, a few years after high school that I graduated.
So I didn't really know you during high school.
Right. Yeah. So high school was spent. That's why this is a familiar language. This kind of thing.
Oh shit! Who's this?
And that's Carrie Clifford. What a sport. I learned a very, very valuable lesson on paying actors what they deserve, A, and B, for their travel and their time, because I fucked up royally. And Carrie Clifford came with a guy named Christopher Garetano, who I talked about before, and you can't explain to actors enough like the terms of the deal. I think you gotta get it in writing.
That's why you gotta get it in writing.
Yeah, you gotta get it in writing, and you gotta talk about it all. Because I fucked up, and I said, she was under the impression that she was getting paid, and I never paid her, and I didn't try. Oh, that's creepy.
That's a good shot. Dude.
Yeah. So, the makeup was from Myrta. I can't remember her last name, but
she was great. Yuki. We called her Yuki.
Yeah, because
she would say, "I like the Yuki stuff."
Yeah, she had
it's
a great
yucky,
accent,
but with an accent.
Yeah, it's very, very Yuki, very Yuki. But Carrie Clifford, I can't.
Oh, that's scary as shit.
Again, I can't. Sorry, and thank you so much.
Also, another lesson is because Carrie was beautiful, and you just covered her entire face.
Well, I didn't know she was going to be so gorgeous. I mean,
she was a beautiful actress.
Yeah, I mean,
when no one saw her coming to the set, and then when the night was done and she took her makeup off, we were like, "Oh, that's what she looked like."
Yeah, because she had a grueling fucking day because she had like 3 or 4 hours of makeup, and then she had to do this, walk down this thing at night, and for like 12 hours, barefoot, and fucking like.
You told her she couldn't eat for 12 hours?
Yeah, she had boost shakes and shit, like drinking from a straw. And we got to talk about Rick here because his dedication to this whole thing.
This scene is fucking awesome, I have to say. And you shot this after, right? Wasn't this like a
half of this shots with Rick were done in Rick's driveway, Rick's dad's driveway, and Carrie we shot on the day where she was there. She was only there for 1 day in the makeup.
Because I wasn't there for this, and like this, when I saw it on the screen, the suspense that built up, I was like, oh my god, I think we made a real movie. Like seeing you when you cut this scene and seeing this, that's the first time I felt like we were making a real movie.
Yeah, it works. I'm a big fan of suspense, especially when there's a monster coming.
Mm-hmm.
And you always want to stay in front of the monster, between the hero and the monster. You ever want to get behind the monster because then you lose all the suspense, because then you're in the safe zone. You want to stay. You want to stay in between where the monster's coming at you.
And the fucking keys.
So, but Rick was a comic, a good friend of ours from high school, and
I've known him since kindergarten.
Yeah, he's just one of the sweetest individuals in the universe. One of those people you're blessed to know, and
he's a good set presence.
Yeah, he's just a good presence everywhere in the universe, and he should multiply and conquer the world.
He needs to get back in front of the camera. He really does.
But he's growing a family, and he's works with wood and stuff. So he's chilling, man. He's good. But Rick, also another sport here, spending countless hours. We shot this movie on a DVX 100 mini DV camera, which was kind of new at the time, and shot 24 frames a second. And we were so once we got that camera, we were like, oh shit, we can make movie-looking movies now.
We're so green.
Yeah, because before that, we didn't.
This is an amazing shot. Your crane. We had a crane.
That's right, courtesy of Hugh Daly from Hugh Daly Productions in Deer Park, New York.
And we used his studio to shoot the Gooligans.
We used his crane. We used his dolly, which was a creaky PVC dolly, which we had to strip all the sound from.
I think when we saw the crane was also maybe the second time I felt like we were shooting a real movie.
Yeah, well, I think everybody kind of felt, when we started, we were like,
oh, there's Paul Natale's on the right. That's director Paul Natale.
That's right. Yeah,
who directed Mount Misery.
Sibel Kipchak is in the middle, and Jake Weiss is on the end there, and Jake is our brave hero. And these people, we love them to death.
Yeah,
we can't say it enough. We don't say it enough. We should.
I've casted Sibel in like 5 music videos.
She's so cool, man. I want to call all these people and say how much we love
Miss them.
Yeah.
I think Jake teaches English in Korea now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he goes back and forth. I think he has a family and shit.
He was in our short film, The Bag. Oh,
This scene.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of spooky.
Yeah. Epilogue.
I don't know why this happened to Rick in the story here, his character. But
now Rick is Mary.
Yeah, but like that's kind of lame because now you go look
Doesn't
for
make
Rick's
sense.
grave. It's like what
was his name in the movie?
I forgot.
Yeah. Don't go looking for Rick's grave.
And we only had one blind out eyeball.
That's why you only see half his face.
So that's why Carrie Clifford had it on one eye and the other one eye was poked out, and then Rick turned around. You can only have him turn around so much.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we only could afford because those lenses were expensive, like $75 each.
Fucking cheap.
Kings Park Psych Center.
Oh.
I think this
Dude, we're halfway through.
I think this is by far the best documentary section.
This is a good documentary because this is one of my favorite spots in Long Island. I've never urban explored.
Urban exploring?
I'm not an urban explorer, but I love hearing about stuff. We have a lot of friends who do it.
Yeah.
We know a lot of people who do it.
I got stuck not stuck, but I explored underneath the underground tunnels one time, and
terrifying.
I saw cages down there and jail cells and shit.
God.
And we walked down the tunnels for hours. They were endless.
This is scary because you could it's there.
Yeah,
you drive and you look. You could look at it.
It's a monstrosity.
It's something that's all. That's King Park.
King's Peddler.
Yeah, that's King.
What
Park.
an awesome name, King Peddler, for a resident of Kings Park.
Yeah.
This guy ruled, man. This guy fucking. Oh, a funny story that happened when we were shooting King Peddler's segment right here. The whole thing about the Kings Park Psych Center is that it's a semi-working hospital. It's not the insane asylum that it used to be, but it's like they have rehab centers and all these other buildings attached to the main area that still have patients in them, so you can't shoot in most parts of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's open to shoot in, but some of it's not, and you have to get a permit. And this was one of the parts where you could not shoot, where we were shooting King Peddler here. And we got stopped by psychiatric center cops.
Well, that's Amalia. Continue.
Yeah. We got stopped by cops, and they were like, you can't shoot here. Give us the tape. And it wouldn't have been terrible if we didn't have the footage, the movie section footage on that same tape. Because we couldn't afford like tapes for each shoot. So we made every tape last, and we had parts of the movie footage on that same tape.
Oh no! So what'd you do?
And they were like, "We got to confiscate that tape and erase it." And we were like, "Oh no, please! What the fuck? Like you can't like." And then we were like, "Please don't." This lady didn't know we were shooting her. Actually,
that's messed up. Yeah, I could see it says Mary's grave on the.
That's Terry with a folder right there, and I'm just
hiding the camera. That's messed up, guys. That's really messed up. Continue. How did you get the tapes back?
We went to the office, which was in another psych center, which was in Pilgrim State, and we begged and pleaded them. We were like, please just erase the part where it wasn't that footage that we saw of King Peddler. It was other footage. We said, please don't erase the part of this other footage that we have on this tape. Just erase the part where he's talking, please. And then they were like, yeah, whatever. And we were like, oh fuck, they're gonna erase the whole fucking tape. Like, there's no way they're actually gonna listen to us and do that.
Yeah.
We went there, we picked up the tape, and God bless them, they actually edited out that one part of the tape.
Holy shit!
And they didn't erase our movie.
What didn't they want out?
They couldn't have us shooting in that section of the park. So what we were watching
suspicious.
Here on King Peddler's stuff, we actually shot on a legal part of the park, like a month later or something like that.
That's crazy.
So we had to do his interview twice, but I could not believe they actually only deleted that one part of the tape. And Terry and I were like, "Oh my God, this is remarkable." But yeah, these kids were cool. These were just kids we picked them off the street and we asked them about.
So,
Kings Park shit.
At this point, we got Carrie. Terry is part of had joined production at this point.
Terry and Liz, I think Terry and Liz wrote it and Liz directed it. And it was funny because Liz was pregnant at the time.
She was pregnant at the time.
So she would kind of send messages through Terry.
Yeah. Terry
would come over and say, "Hey guys, this is what we want to do."
Mm-hmm.
And it was a cool kind of duo of directing that we never saw before. The style of directing. But yeah, King Peddler here he worked there a long time, and he saw some atrocities at this fucking place.
I think he's the first time I ever heard the term McMansions was from King.
Yeah,
Peddler.
right. Yeah, we could listen to this guy talk forever about this place.
I had mentioned Amalia. She's a tattoo artist her friend was putting a book together, and they.
Oh yeah, that's right. She had a Kings Park book, right?
Yeah, and they would tell stories. Like I learned a lot about Kings Park Psych Center from Amalia. She was my tattoo artist, and she became a lot of our friends' tattoo artists from this point. I learned a lot about this from her, and she's like a very dynamic speaker as well.
Oh yeah, no, she's that's another person you could just sit there and listen to for hours and hours and hours. And some of these pictures are from opacity.com, I think, which was a great website for.
Does it still exist?
I don't know, but they gave us permission to use some of their amazing photography because we couldn't really get into a lot of the buildings.
Those are graves, right?
Yeah, this is actually those numbered graves. These things right here, these are from an unmarked kind of graveyard on top of a hill where they did not have names on the graves. They were just buried there in pine boxes.
It's weird because there's soccer fields around there.
Yeah,
there's a beautiful beach not too far from there,
and there's a lot of bodies buried all over the place. Thousands and thousands.
Weren't they talking about building like an amusement park on top of it?
I never heard that. I just heard that they were going to do condos and high-density homes and shit, but they can't afford to tear this place down because it's such a incredibly expensive demo job that they can't seem to afford how to, this shit is still there. Most of it's still there. I think they blasted down a few buildings, but this is primo Long Island North Shore property, which is some of the most expensive property in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Just like 10 or 15 miles west of this town is the most the Gold Coast of Long Island is the most expensive real estate in the world. So you can just imagine how much that real estate would cost if they were able to just demo this town. And
here's the beginning of the narrative portion of Terry's movie.
I'm scared.
Of Terry and Elizabeth's movie.
Yeah. I would say it's Elizabeth.
It's not.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
I thought it was.
It was a funny scenario because we asked Terrence Smith to make this movie, and we had no idea that Elizabeth was getting into making movies either. Mm-hmm. So later on,
Napoleon Dynamite. Sorry, dude. I don't know you.
We should have avoided that. Yeah. But later on, we
called him Napoleon Dynamite.
I think we made the credits and we credited Terry as the director because he was giving us the direction on the day.
Yeah.
And then later on, they were like, "What the fuck? Liz directed this movie," and we were like, "Oh shit, we didn't know that."
Well, we started doing press right before the first screening at the premiere. We were doing press.
Yeah.
And we had to be corrected.
Yeah. And we didn't know that Liz was the director. If they told us, we would have been sorry about that. But you got to tell us these things, guys.
We got straightened out.
Yeah.
This is where'd you get this video footage?
Excuse me. I think that stuff is half kind of where you can legally shoot and half where you can illegally shoot. Because you can get into you just climb a fence and you're into these buildings. You just got to watch out for cops and security driving around. But you can just hop a fence and get into these old buildings and shit. And they're creepy, man. There's old the kids section, and there's murals all over the walls.
I think that's what Amalia's talking about. Oh yeah, there's footage of baby Gonzo.
And
that's scary.
Because people go here every day to explore, there's a morgue, so they spray
I heard
paint shit all over the place.
Recently, maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, this summer, they gated some of the rooftop stuff because there was a suicide pact of teenage girls.
Another suicide pact?
That they were going to jump off.
Come on, kids. Nobody cares about suicide pacts anymore.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Don't do it. We made that movie.
Don't do it.
Back in 2005.
And but it came out
Teen
in
suicide, don't do it.
2007.
Just watch Heathers. It's not really that cool.
Yeah, so
But basically, like, because you'd walk through Kings Park Psych Center, and there's too many stories to go into, honestly. So you just like pick one.
oh, what?
And
Is that real?
yeah, because kids go there all the time, and like there's wheelchairs there and stuff. So they'll set the wheelchair by a window where it's lit, and you'll walk in there the next day, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, it's fucking haunted." It's like, no, these kids did that, you know. But it's cool because
We know someone who does nude photos there.
yeah, like it honestly it's
Doesn't seem sanitary.
no, but it's a famous spot for urban explorers. If you look up Kings Park Psychiatric Center, you'll probably see millions of photos online of kids just hanging out there. And you go there and you drink, and we used to go there with cases of beer at night and cruise through the halls and cruise through the buildings and stuff and run from cops and stuff. It's just, you know, if you have something that cool 10 minutes from where you live,
Right.
you're going to go check it out. Yeah. And
Oh God, what's that chair doing there?
And actually, we're probably about 15 minutes from this area right now.
Oh God. Oh God, I can feel the presence.
We're really down the street
Oh,
from
no.
Kings Park Psych Center.
Where are we now? We are in Green Lawn.
Yeah, Green Lawn, Huntington, New York, in my basement apartment. And we haven't seen this movie in a while, right?
I think not since Paul last time we saw Paul. Well, last time we saw Paul when he came back to New York for a visit.
Yeah,
he's
I wasn't
probably
aware.
come back, but he hasn't looked us up. That's fine, Paul. We miss
Fine,
you.
fuck you, Paul. I don't want to see you anyway.
No, just kidding. But like, yeah, I threw a party at my house. We were at the cast and crew, and we all watched it, and we had popcorn, and it was fun. It was a good time.
Why I was not there? Why wasn't I there?
I don't know why you weren't there.
Well, sorry,
Everyone
guys.
else was there.
I don't know why I was not there.
You probably were doing something else.
I was probably having a panic attack. Like, no, I'm kidding. Couldn't leave my house. This was at the Cinema Arts Center too. These interviews, and these were just interviews where we were just asking around friends and stuff. Hey, could you come talk about where you hang out? Right?
The strange drawings all over the walls, not the graffiti. Christmas
But
cards
some of the
from
stories
family.
from
It's pretty intense.
Kings
There's
Park
file cabinets and
Psych
personal
Center.
stuff, personal
I mean, I had
cards,
friends who went in there
like people's
to explore
cards
and got like
stuff like
fucking
that. And,
like locked into some of the buildings and stuff.
Oh,
Because like, you know, maintenance crews would come around and close up doors that got
Oh,
opened.
no.
So my friends went in
and they died?
and they were in there. There was like 3 or 4 of them. They got like welded in. And then when they were in there, they realized they weren't alone in there, because what happened was there's like squatters would go there and junkies would go there looking for old meds. Like they would just like, because the weird thing about the psych center, and I'm sure this happened to a lot of psych centers around the country, like in the early 90s or late 80s, when drugs got better, they just shut these fucking psych centers down, right? And they just went, all the patients went to
Well, there's also Pilgrim State.
there's Pilgrim State, right? Yeah. There's massive ones. Back in the turn of the century, they built cities around these. Kings Park, the whole town was built around this psych center. It had its own factories and farms and all that shit. It was a city. It was a legit city. But when they shut down, some of the patients with records and shit and family went to other hospitals. But the ones who didn't have any kind of records and families and names, they were just like, here's the door. Boom.
Yeah, just walk around.
Yeah,
That's where the Smiths story.
Yeah.
That's where it
Right.
kind of comes from.
So you'll see in the beginning a wandering psychopath or a mental patient, and that's basically because if you hang out especially in the 90s, I remember hanging out in Kings Park enough. It's a beautiful town, like you just see. It's gorgeous. It's got beautiful bluffs and beaches and fishing and blah blah blah.
We still shoot often at the Kings Park Bluffs.
We shoot all the time there. I mean, look at that. That's fucking awesome. But in the 90s, especially in the mid 90s, you'd hang out in Kings Park, the town right here, like you see, and you'd see mental patients walking around,
wandering
all over the place, because they
Homeless.
could not leave the town.
That's actually Northport.
That is Northport.
That's
yeah.
Northport.
That's where Ricky Casso killed the kid for Satan.
The Institute for Mental Hygiene. That's a good title.
Yes, that's a real thing. I didn't think that was a real thing, but that's a real thing. And there's the psycho. There's the psychopath.
That's Nick Myers. We had a good time filming with him. He was he was also a good set presence.
Nick Myers is a hilarious, wonderful funny guy, and that's
a cut up.
Elizabeth Carlton and rounding out the cast of this is Elizabeth Carlton and Christina Barrows. But this is Northport, Long Island. It's a very kind of well-to-do area, very upper crust area of Long Island. Not like Kings Park, which is about 15 minutes away down the road. Mm-hmm. But we shot this. I remember we shot this in the morning, and there was this great fog there, and we were like, "Oh, quick! We got to get this fog before it burns off." Uh-huh. And we were so focused on like the fog, getting the fog in the shot, that we were just like, the acting. Oh, we forgot to direct the acting. We were just like, "Oh, the fog looks so good," you know.
Well, Elizabeth on the left.
Shit.
Elizabeth on the left, she was the star of another Terrence Smith movie.
The Walking Corpse.
The Walking Corpse.
It's a fantastic little movie from Terrence Smith and Elizabeth Smith, I assume. Yeah. But yeah, she's
That's another thing we shot, I think, after. We shot The Walking Corpse after this.
And Nick Myers was supposed to be in The Walking Corpse as well, but he didn't show up that day. So we put Dino Castelli in, which turned out great. We were like, "Hey, Dino, you're here helping out. You're an actor." Boom. So Dino became the star when Nick Myers didn't show up, Nick. Remember that, Nick?
I'm sure he had to deal with his baby. He was becoming a father around
that
this
old
time.
Excuse. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, Nick. I'm kidding. God bless you.
Nick ended up on the Gooligans as well.
Yes, Nick did a hilarious, endlessly quotable job on the Gooligans. And it's always funny because like these movies, you don't have any time to rehearse really. Nick, I think, rehearsed, but Christina Barrows did not rehearse. But Terry made sure that he rehearsed with Nick because there's a lot of subtle things about his transformation or whatever in this movie.
I love this shot.
Oh yeah, well
the endless shopping carts of Target.
Well, I think he wanted to kind of really nail home the point of the suburban sprawl.
Yeah.
And what would eventually happen to Kings Park, which is kind of a jewel, like this kind of like this.
So Terry's like a professional editor.
Yeah, I think so.
And you could tell because like
yes,
it's he took great care in the stylized editing of his narrative.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's probably the best edited one.
And that's my mom's minivan, which I had reupholstered.
Really?
Yeah, that's my mom's minivan, which they got rid of not too long ago.
Good.
Still smelled like gasoline, I'm sure, back then. And these are the roads surrounding the Kings Park Psych Center, and then you, like, it's cool because boom, you turn your head and you see that terrifying Dracula's fucking castle.
It it definitely, if you go there, it definitely has a feel, a vibe, a presence, like something is overcoming you, overwhelming you.
Yeah, and I think that was the
dark presence.
I think they kind of Terry and Liz, or Liz and Terry, I think they kind of took that vibe you get when you go there and you stand in front of that building. You get hypnotized because it's like fucking freaky, right?
That's what they were going for, man. And like their shots, there's like really cool mood shots of like insects and slugs coming up that like
it's really, kind of David Lynchy.
It gets you into an uncomfortable feeling as you're watching this.
This is by far the most disturbing episode of this whole thing, I think. But going back to talking about Terry, that's a gorgeous shot. Yeah,
that is a beautiful shot.
But going back into, we paid $10,000 to get that. Snail
it's a
there.
dolly shot,
and we don't see snails in Long Island much, but outside the beaches,
in the garage. Really? Yeah, my parents' garage.
Really, you see snails all the time?
Like now, yeah.
But Terry and Liz had time to rehearse with Nick, but not Christina. So like, it was one of those scenarios where, hey, Christina, meet Nick, and action. It was like that kind of thing.
But Christina, kind of just. Oh, they casted her, and then she showed up, and we asked a lot of her.
We asked a lot of everybody.
There is scenes coming up that are really disturbing, and she never
She was always game.
She never questioned anything. She's like, never. Got it. I'm on. Here we go. Whoa, and this is the big change.
Yo, he's bugging out, son.
I remember being at the premiere. We had a few premieres. You have one premiere, but we had a premiere screen. We had a few screenings at the Cinema Arts Center, but the first one. The big
smashing success of the
it was one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of.
That was awesome,
watching this with an audience of what is the Cinema Arts Center's biggest theater sits what? 300,
300,
300, 360?
We had to turn away like another kind of 100 people.
There were people sitting in the stands. They actually let people sit in the stands. But when this came up, you could feel the room, like, just kind of be like, the room changed when all this started happening.
It's a very moody piece here.
And it's just like, you just kind of feel draining of, like,
it does zap energy.
It zaps energy, and you're just like, where am I? But like, that's what I feel like. That's what they're going for, because they're putting you in the mind of this guy.
And I think this is cool because it comes at a point where you can kind of you welcome a little abstract stuff.
You don't want every movie to be the same.
No.
And I think we pulled that off. Not all. Yeah. All four of the movies are completely different from each other.
It's a nice break from the old narrative kind of thing, the my hokey approach, and then Paul's pretty kind of European approach, where it was it was pretty much about people and emotions and things, and this is a cool abstraction. But I remember just thinking, like, I don't understand what is going on in the script or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, why is he possessed? And then later on,
they explain it. They explain it.
Well, yeah, but later on, you're just like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. Cool. And the actors, like, having them decode it with Liz and Terry was interesting to watch too. Yeah, a lot of bugs. So this was one of the legal parts where you can shoot the movie. This was one of we got a permit we paid like $1,000.
Really?
Which was a lot.
Yeah.
We went way over budget.
We didn't have that budget.
No. We spent for one day.
I didn't pay $1,000.
Oh no, it did fucking rain the first day, so you could see a little bit of rain on the lens right there. Actually, a little bit of moisture.
It adds to the mood. It adds to the aesthetic.
I don't know if it was this day or another day.
Don't eat those.
But it rained. It rained.
See?
And my buddy JC Indiviglio was helping us out shooting and gripping or whatever, or working on camera and stuff. He shot some of this footage. I think JC shot some of this footage. He was a cop, Nassau cop.
No.
Yeah. So we went. Actually, the town, it rained, so we went to the town and we were like, "Look, it rained. Like, what can we do? Can we get a refund on this, like, insurance?"
Mm-hmm.
It was the insurance that was $1,000. The permit was free.
Yeah.
And we were like, "It fucking rained. Like, what are we gonna do?" And they're like, "I just come back tomorrow."
Oh,
and there was
awesome.
No more charge. So we actually had like 2 days of shooting there.
Nice.
And the second day, when like security came, we didn't have a permit.
That's a good shot.
But JC, being a Nassau cop and a cameraman, a great cameraman on this movie, he's just like, he just pulled out his badge and we were like, "I'm on the job."
Can you have done that in the beginning?
I know. It's just like, no, trust me, after that day, I called him on every shoot we ever had. I was like, "Hey, man, can you come down?" And like, we didn't pay him or anything, too. But like I said, we didn't really know about this new camera. And
so all these stylized shots are JC?
I can't pick him apart right now.
He's got very good composition.
But he was there for a few hours on one day with his Canon XL 1 or something. I forgot what the fuck it was.
Did it blow away our DVX 100?
No, it matched pretty good because you can't tell. See?
This is where it gets weird.
This is where it gets really strange.
That's John Roberts' butt.
John Robert, we threw him a bone, banging Christina Barrows over the tree. We're like, "You're the best PA." We promoted him to...
You probably have the best butt.
We promoted him to
associate
producer. He should have gotten co-producer at least. Mm-hmm. He should have gotten producer, because he did so much. And there's so much going on in behind the scenes, obviously, like every movie. But when you flip the camera around from Christina or Nick, you don't see that there's only like 2 or 3 people on the other end doing all of these things, like sound, bounce board, and fucking like lighting and gripping and
including the other directors.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, pretty much. It was basically, well, we had Dino Castelli on this one, thankfully, and you had John Robert Mariani. I don't know if Paul Natale was here, but
I don't think he was. Had he left
I
at
think
this
he
point?
maybe left the country or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He moved around so much at this time. I don't know. He probably...
Because by the time we had a premiere, he had already moved.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
To France.
And we have to say that this probably was about maybe close to a year after the other 3 shot. The other three shot in 2005, and this one we shot in 2006.
We sat on it because we didn't know how to finish it.
That's right. Yeah, we were just like, we don't know if.
Which is why it was finally released in 2007, and then we spent most of 2008 touring with it.
Right. That's right. Yeah, we did a number of premieres. Mostly, a lot of them sold out. A lot of them had one person there, but I think that shook out pretty good though.
Yeah.
For a backyard movie from Long Island, New York, that had no distribution and still remains an oddity. But if you find it here on YouTube, congratulations, because it's pretty weird and pretty cool.
And we gotta say, I do wish that we had Paul here doing commentary, Liz and Terry doing commentary, Chris, Duska doing commentary, and also I wish John Robert because we haven't seen any of these guys in a long time. Just want to say that Sean and I have a podcast called the Pitch It Movie Podcast, so we already had a setup with our microphones already, and we just remembered that it's the 10-year anniversary, and we were like, you know what? Why don't we have these mics?
Yeah,
we have a movie. Let's just do commentary and put it on YouTube.
We should have called you guys, but hey guys, how you doing?
This is where it gets really weird. But like, I do wish everyone was back, including the actors. I wish see Nick.
A lot of people moved on and did, substantial things with their lives, and Pete and I are the only ones that didn't. So that's why we're here recording this.
We're just stuck with with microphones and headphones and
that's basically the
thing. DVD player.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's where we are. This is where it gets into the explanation.
That flip phone, 2005 flip phone, man. That's my old damn phone. I remember that fucking thing, man. That thing ruled, man.
It was about a year. It was about 2 years away from the first iPhone.
My God, yeah. This was 2005. This was the summer of 2005. Obviously, it's the summertime.
And then was it Christmas 2007 was the first iPhone?
I don't know when the iPhone is, but we released this movie in July of 2007.
Yes.
And that was, like Pete said, that was a mega sold-out screening in the Cinema Arts Center.
It was so fun.
And I remember people, that day, I remember that premiere where people would come in. Cinema Arts Center has a lot of older clientele, a lot of older, kind of well-to-do, being in Huntington, New York. And the people kept coming in. And we had the poster, and it's a ghost on the poster, and it's a creepy-looking movie called Lost Suburbia. Mm-hmm. And, like, all these older kind of squares kept coming in.
Pause for a second. There's Gene
from the Cinema Arts Center.
Anybody who's ever gone to the Cinema Arts Center knows who Gene Barrows in, and that's his butt as well.
That's a crack. That's not a full butt. But
oh no!
But what a sport Christina and Gene were to be banging there in a hot, sweaty, humid Long Island night in the woods.
That's a good reaction. Oh man,
and Gene just like is in a trance. Look at him. He's just like,
that's awesome. That's some weird shit.
He's just like,
that's some weird shit. Liz and Terry.
He's like high from the kill. He's like, I'm bugging out.
That's some bizarre shit coming from the Smiths' minds.
That's the Smiths right there. That's them all together.
And their kids. They had 2 at the time, right?
Liz
and a third was on the way.
No, if they had one, I think Elizabeth was pregnant with her second one, and that was one of the reasons why she was kind of like Terry was the satellite, and we didn't know that Liz was actually like doing it, and we were just like, oh shit, okay, that makes sense now,
Yeah,
because I think she was like actually like breastfeeding one of the
They must be like teenagers now. Yeah, because they brought their kids
like
along.
10, they're like at least 10 years old. Shit, we haven't seen them in years.
Wow.
But the when this movie was playing at the Cinema Arts Center for the premiere, all these people we didn't know kept coming up to buy tickets, and I was like, "Do you know what this movie's about?" Like I kept saying it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's about the suburban sprawl and the building of the buildings in Long Island."
What?
And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's exactly what it's about.
Fun.
Yeah, you should bring all your friends. Yeah, totally." So I don't know what the fuck they thought of when they actually watched the movie, but they thought it was about like a documentary about like suburban sprawl and shit, and like how Long Island once was or something.
And they were right, pretty much.
Yeah, sort of. But not really, no. This is Terrence Smith's parents' house on Valleywood Drive in Hauppauge. Comac, rather, yeah.
Anthony Greco had
Hauppauge.
Anthony Greco had said that Kill Your Idols was at the premiere screening.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, okay.
Because
big punk band, Kill Your Idols?
Yeah, because Anthony was wearing Kill Your Idols shirt in the movie.
And they thought it was a documentary about suburban sprawl.
Yeah, they were there for this isn't suburban sprawl.
Fucking money back.
And here we are, back to the beginning.
That's right. And we had a first Glide Cam 2000 right there, and that was our first lame attempt at a Glide Cam shot. Remember?
Nice rig.
And he's got a Lionsdale hat on for some reason. We should have Greeked out that logo there. But I go to this park all the time to write scripts. This is Cow Harbor Park in Northport, and there's a great place to
good date spot.
Yeah, it's good to go get laid. And,
we're almost done, man.
Last story, Peter Bune's Lake Ronkonkoma.
Lake Ronkonkoma.
Or the Lady of the Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a cool story, Pete. Briefly, can you talk about what happened at this?
Yeah, I didn't
right
know.
Here.
I had actually, before we started, I knew nothing about Long Island ghost stories. I just knew I wanted to be a part of it because when we started, you and Duska had your Montauk Project story happening. Paul wanted to do Mount Misery, and then when we got together, Sean already had I'm gonna do Mary's Grave. Everyone the three other guys had their thing.
Yeah.
And then I remember sitting in the Cinema Arts Center, in the cafe.
It was
area.
Like an assignment you had.
Yeah, and it was just just do some research, try to pick one. There's so many. I think one of you guys even brought in a book, and while we were having a production meeting, I'm just thumbing through stories, and I'm like, I don't know, because I don't. Yeah. Although I love horror. Sean introduced me to a lot of horror movies, Evil Dead when we were teens, and pretty much my horror IQ comes from Sean. Anything ghost related or I come from Clerks. I'm a big fan of Clerks.
90s indie
comedy. 94 was a big year for me where I discovered Clerks and Reservoir Dogs. That's where I was coming from. I wanted to be Tarantino and Kevin Smith.
Right.
So when we got to this point, I just knew I wanted to be a part of it. I knew I wanted to write my own story. I know I wanted to help produce and do anything to be a part of this anthology. Because I wanted to work with Sean and Paul so bad. Not so much Chris. Just kidding. No, I was excited. Just kidding. But I was excited to work with all you guys. But then I came upon this this story about the Lady of the Lake Ronkonkoma, this ghost story of a drowned princess, and it caught my eye. And I think back then, just spending a lot of time with Paul, he was also introducing me to some horror movies. Oh, he's back.
Oh, Paul was a major horror fan as well.
Encyclopedic. Yeah. And during that time, also Rob, who was in Paul's movie, just being at the Cinema Arts Center, Miyazaki was not Miyazaki. Who's the one who did
Miike?
Tahashi Miike.
Yeah, right.
He was coming out huge.
Right.
And he was doing some weird. So there was Asian horror cinema.
Yeah, that was on Ichi the Killer Time and shit like that.
Yeah, so there was a lot of things that we were watching, a lot of stuff, which was very that's the mood was.
Look, it looks like a skull. I'm sorry.
Where did we get that footage?
That was early Google Earth that Terrence
way.
Smith stole. I think you never even. Yeah, we were just and he stole a lot of music too. They don't care now. This was 2005.
Yeah, it's public domain now.
But no, basically, you had to at first it was 2 stories, and then we were like, okay, now it's 4. Now go find one. Boom.
Yeah. And I took the longest to finish my script.
That's right, because this was.
I took 6 months. I took 6 months to write my script
because the pre-production was maybe 3 or 4 months.
I was like, you guys go first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, take your time, guys. Paul went first. I went second.
I'll get there.
But yeah, during when we were shooting and prepping, you were still writing, and then we were
also,
Pete, what's going on?
Yep. But I worked with Paul every single day.
That's right. At the
7 days a week, I'd be working with Paul.
Right.
And I'd be bouncing ideas off him, and he'd be like, "Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, have you seen this movie? Have you seen this movie?"
Right, yeah.
So I started watching a lot of stuff like The Ring or the Japanese Ring.
Yeah, the J horror stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was
back then
watching a lot of weird shit he was sending me, and so that's where I was coming from. Mine, where mine is kind of a mood piece.
Yeah.
It's very deliberate. I wanted to slow it down.
Yeah.
I wanted to slow this down.
But it's gripping at the same time. I mean, it's intimate.
Very intimate. I wanted it to be really quiet.
Yeah.
There's Tessie Copa.
Which is good because you're kind of winding down at this time with the stories, and it's kind of we've all avoided this intimacy with the characters, and then it kind of goes back to basics with your story.
My cast is 3 people.
Yeah, and it's
but
really
most
nice
of you're
to
just showing 2 people mostly.
Yeah. And being on Long Island, there's a big kind of history with native folk and indigenous people, and there's all kinds of stories. I mean,
I remember
billions of stories. I mean, we can't even. The one is probably a white man story, but like if you went actually with the native people, there's probably many more.
I remember writing, and it was like I was like writing really late at night and just turning behind me, like reading a lot of these ghost stories and being terrified.
Yep.
Just feeling like there's someone in the room. Like I'm like it was almost taboo to read about all these ghost stories, and then like trying to fit it into your own narrative. I felt like it was very taboo. And,
you felt like you were stoking some kind of spirit, right? Mm-hmm. That's how I felt with Mary's Grave. I'm like, am I disturbing some kind of like, am I desecrating like somebody's death or something? Like,
I remember Joe and Carrie Ann. They said that the Cinema Arts Center
look, she's got a hickey. Look, it's hot. Carrie Ann, that's hot.
Oh no. Joe said that there was a presence. He felt the draft coming from a spot.
Joe, really? Yeah.
He said there was a cold spot in the cinema.
Ooh, cool.
Maybe there is now.
He was sitting on the air conditioning.
And that's it. That's. I wish that guy wasn't parked there with his foot sticking out.
Look, that's typical Long Island douchebag.
Can
right
you
there.
move?
The fucking Toyota? Don't tell me to move my fucking Toyota, bro. I don't care about your movies.
Where is that? That's like in a deli.
That's still there, and it's cool because sometimes you pass by that mural. Sometimes you pass. Yeah, we shot these documentaries all over all the time.
That's cool.
Sometimes you pass by that mural of the Lady of the Lake,
and the eyes follow
and
you.
the eyes are closed in the wintertime, and then they open in the summertime.
What? How?
They just paint them.
Oh,
but come on, Pete. It's the spirit of the Lady of the Lake. Beach closed. Lake Ronkonkoma was not a pretty place,
which is why a lot of people ask, like, you did that. They said that's not Lake Ronkonkoma. I'm like, yeah, because it looks like
shit.
It looks like that. It looks like
it's the largest freshwater body of water on Long Island by far.
Is it? Yeah.
But it's not. It's you don't really. It's not that picturesque, and it's actually surrounded by 3 towns. It
didn't look scary.
No, it looks like that. It's plain.
Which is why we picked Nissaquag River.
Right, which is closer to actually the Mary's Grave area.
Yeah,
but things like this are in Lake Ronkonkoma, which is cool.
So if you have questions, I know a lot of people are commenting on YouTube like, I'm from Ronkonkoma. This isn't Ronkonkoma.
Yeah, the fuck you.
And I'm just like, yeah, you think Star Wars was shot in space? No,
it wasn't shot in Star Wars City.
Yeah,
it was shot in England. Yeah,
this Cat Sarfas.
Cat Sarfas, what a jewel to find.
I had
like your friends.
She, I had met her because she was dating a friend of mine who was the drummer for Microwave Orphans.
And you were
so I knew
her away from.
Well, I knew her because like she went to Comac High School with her friend Mitch. She was much younger than us, but Mitch also helped out on many numerous projects that we've done, and he had mentioned that she's an actress. She's a good actress. Like, you know Kat? And like he was like, it was like, oh, like I heard you know Kat. You know someone who knows Kat? He's like, yeah, I know Kat from school.
Right.
So she had started she was in college at this point, and she was in a play. She was doing Tape, which is a Richard Linklater did it with Ethan Hawke and
right.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
She was doing the Uma Thurman part, but she was doing like the play version. So I went to there with intentions of like asking her to audition for our movie. She had she did. She came to. It was like in my mind she had the. I remember telling you, it was like I already found my actress, but I just want her to read with Michael Koscik right here.
Do like a chemistry
test. But I didn't tell them that. I didn't tell Mike or Kat that I had them in mind for the part. I just wanted them to meet each other and do like a chemistry read, and they were great. They were both great. Mike, up until this point, I put him in everything that I made.
That's our buddy Mike Koscik.
Yeah, he's the producer, writer, co-creator of The Gooligans.
Right.
Also a slacker.
One of the hardest working people not in show business.
Right.
Once at a time.
And
one of the sweetest, kindest, most generous individuals of all time, Michael Koscik.
All right, stop sucking.
And talented. No, look, man, everybody.
He's not listening to this, Sean.
I don't care. I just want everybody to know. And goddamn, look at these people in the mud.
I think this looks fucking awesome.
Disgusting fucking.
I love this.
Long Island pond.
This is exactly what I wanted, and you got the shots I wanted. I remember I started shooting this not this scene, but later scenes.
operating?
I was
Like DP,
operating.
yeah.
I was operating the camera originally. I intended to shoot everything. Like you'll see in the behind the scenes, the first shots were all me. Like all the stuff in the park
That's
was
right.
me.
Yeah. That's right.
And then we got to the beach, or we got to this river. It's a river.
Which it does not look like a lake. It looks like a river. We know that, and we know that it's not the real fucking.
Get off
location.
my back.
Yeah.
So
it's the movies.
So my budget went towards buying a water camera, a bag for the camera,
Yes.
a waterproof bag for the camera,
For underwater shots.
Underwater shots.
Which was really expensive at $200.
and the other part of the budget went to buying everyone water shoes.
That's right.
Shoes to wear in the water.
That's right.
So every time we were in the water, I would, before we would shoot, I was like, everyone must wear their shoes.
Because you don't know what's under the muck and
Yes.
mud of fucking Long Island Lake.
And then, so what happened was, after I give that speech, it's required everyone wears their water shoes. I start operating the camera. I walk and I get a fish hook stuck in my foot.
That's right.
And then, so I'm going in the water, and there's blood everywhere. It's just bleeding. There's blood going in the water.
And then sharks start to. No, yeah.
But I'm like, and I go to Sean. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Can you take over?
Yeah.
Like, I gotta put my shoes on. I gotta wrap this up because there was so much blood.
That's right. You got a nasty,
I had to go
rusted
get it.
hook in your fucking toe.
Yeah. The next day, I went to get a tetanus shot.
That's right. So that's a good note for directors to
listen to your own direction.
Yeah, take your own direction.
Take your own advice.
Don't get all fucking heroic and shit and elitist. Just do what everybody else is doing. Even if it takes extra time, you don't want to get a rusted hook in your toe like Peter Bune.
No, you don't. So back in this time in 2005, while I was writing, I was also watching a lot of Lost.
Oh yeah, which
So
I was
you
gonna
get
say
that
which
vibe.
explains a lot of the running in the woods.
This is actually Lake Ronkonkoma right
That
here.
is Lake
That's
Ronkonkoma.
actually Lake Ronkonkoma. So I was watching a lot of Lost, and I had asked a friend of ours, Paul Lano, to write the music for this.
Oh shit, we gotta talk about Paul.
So Paul wrote the music for my movie, and eventually he wrote all of the music for Freaks, Nerds, or Romantics. But
The other movie we were doing.
the other movie, yeah, and he was in a band with Mike, 48 in the Basement. So he was a musician, and he was a writer, music writer. But working on this movie, he discovered that he wanted to do score composition. I asked him to do this because I just needed someone to write music. But after this project, he went to Brooklyn College, and then we got a place in Brooklyn, and we lived together for like 7 years. But yeah, working on this project together is where he got that's a cool shot. We shot that in Mike's pool.
That's right, Mike's pool with a little black tarp behind the wall of the pool.
But we were watching a lot of Lost. I gave him season 1 DVD. I was like,
and did he kind of take cues or notes from the Lost soundtrack, which is a great soundtrack?
I was like, have you ever seen Lost? He's like, no. And the next day I went back to his house and I gave him the season 1 DVD. And then he watched the entire thing in 3 days.
Good move.
And this is the music he came up with. And it was, there was a loud scream. When that happened, there was a loud scream at the premiere.
Anytime you got a creature underwater grabbing you or jumping out of the water. I mean, we learned that from Friday the 13th.
That's from Friday the 13th.
Part 1 and 3, we learned that.
That bench there I took from my parents. That's my parents' bench.
That's right. That was not there. And that was San Remo, Kings Park, where we shot that kind of.
I knew about that place because Matt Roran lived across the street from there.
That's right.
It was very residential. Residential.
Mount Misery actor. And I want to talk about the music in the Mary's Grave segment. Maxwell Santoro, in a clinch, made a great soundtrack to that movie under the name The Printers. I think he's like, I don't want to use my name. I'll make we'll call them The Printers. And I think because his printer was broken or something when he was doing it. But I had a misfortunate kind of experience with another composer. And Max came in and just redid the soundtrack, and I have to tell him that he did a fucking great job on that. That's why it sounds kind of John Carpenter-y, because it was very low budget, and he just did it with
rushed synthesizer.
I think he did it on a keyboard, not even a synthesizer, just on a keyboard. He was like a weird genius.
Good. It was good. I didn't know that he did the music.
And it was like, whoa, it's perfect. Cool.
Max was a wonderkind. He was 17 when he started working with us.
And I feel like Max did other things in this movie, but I just can't recall right now.
Max edited my movie.
Oh, fuck, that's right. Okay, yeah, there you go. There.
Max Santoro edited my movie, and he did the ADR for the scene.
Right.
So when we shot this scene, the wind was just too much.
That's right.
And we had to go back, and Kat and Mike had to come in to Max's place and record ADR for this.
And we had no idea how to sound op at this point because we just had. There was no separate sound op sound. We had a XLR going into the camera, and we had shitty headphones,
boom mic, yeah,
and a boom mic, and we were just like, whatever. It looks good. It's fine, you know. And then we learned from this movie to like sound is as important, if not more important, than the than the video.
There's like I just remembered there's a whole scene deleted. I took out a whole maybe 2-page dialogue scene.
Why is that?
Because this short is 20 minutes.
And it's a lot of talking.
It's a lot of talking.
But you gotta know these characters real well before.
Because I think they're talking about the people that they lost who drowned in the river.
Yeah.
She talks about her boyfriend. He talks about his brother. But the scene I cut out was they go into depth, real depth, like 2 pages worth of dialogue. And we actually shot that, and we used the dolly on the beach portion. And And it was a big problem is with the shot. Why I cut it out, the performances were great, but in this movie, in the final cut, you never see them next to each other. They're always either sitting or in a boat, or he's standing, she's sitting. It's because Mike is 6'3".
Oh, right.
And Kat's maybe 5'2", 5'3".
So the height difference.
It looked really awkward.
I remember on the beach laying down the tracks, and we were trying to get the height right.
Yep.
We were just like, we couldn't get the tripod high enough to get a low angle or a high angle enough to get them both in the shot. Right?
Yeah.
And we didn't have put stuff to put the tracks on. We put them on the sand, and it was like.
Yeah. So I remember just Max cut the scene. And it was already it would have made the movie another 2 or 3 minutes longer.
See, this is so economical, and this is like a lesson for filmmakers. This movie, this part in particular, because it's
you gotta kill your darlings sometimes.
Yeah, you got to take your favorite fucking scene even, and then just ditch it if you think it's gonna work out for.
And it's such a talky movie anyway that no one needed another dialogue scene. But I would like to revisit. Because we shot it. We shot the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was cut by Max. We axed it.
Good job, Max. Good job.
There's another Mystery Science Theater shot.
Terrence Smith and Elizabeth Smith, I don't want to leave out Elizabeth, obviously. They cut their own movie.
Yeah.
Did Paul cut his movie?
Yeah.
I think I cut mine. I can't remember. I think I cut mine.
I think Max did.
Maybe Max did. If Max, if you did it, I'm sorry. We'll find out at the credits. But Max cut this one too. I think Max did because we were like, we got to finish this fucking movie. It was like a year, and we were like, we got to wrap this thing up. We were just doing stupid jobs and just fucking around, and we're like, we got to finish this movie. Max, can you help us? Because he was cutting Freaks, Nerds, and Romantics at the time.
Right. That took 5 years.
Yeah.
That took 5 years to cut.
That's how we work. But we were like, Max, can you please save us with this movie and cut these?
Mind you, he's 17 at this point.
Right, yeah.
He was introduced to us by a friend of ours, Jeff T.
He was a little older than that.
No, Jeff T.
He was living like a punk house. Though.
He was living at his parents' house at the time. We would go and say hi to his dad. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But Jeff T. from the backup plan. He's like, you have to meet this kid, Max. He's a wonderkind.
Yeah, he was.
He's
really,
just like, I think you guys would hit. And then.
Yeah, he was like the first millennial that we met who was like new computers,
knew
more
everything.
Than anybody, like cameras, and we were like, dude, can you teach us everything you know, please? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, and he didn't talk much, and we always felt weird going over there and like using him for his computer, his non-linear editing system.
Spent so many hours with him.
Yeah, so Max, like we were.
It's so weird because once Freaks Nerds was done, it's like, wow, we just spent 5 years with you.
I feel like we owe Max a life debt.
We do.
Like a Gungan life.
Oh, there you see a shot. That's one shot of what you see. A brief shot of what that scene was, and you saw the height difference.
That's right. Yeah, that was like the master shot of that scene.
Yes.
Hey man, whatever. You got a nice extra shot of it.
Mm-hmm. But you saw the height difference.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Going back to Lost,
we could have just put Mike on the other side of Kat and shot a lower angle, and it would have been cool. We could have done.
That's 10 extra years of experience, Sean.
Yes, exactly. Now we know.
Well, yeah, going back to Lost, I even had them look like the main characters.
Oh, like Jack and
not Kate, the blonde girl. I forgot the blonde girl.
Oh, right. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
There was like a love triangle at that point, second season.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Well, Mike wound up in our movies because he was the best looking guy.
Yeah.
You know,
both of
all
them.
us,
Both
right?
of them. The camera loves both of these actors.
Right.
They're both so photogenic, and they both like.
Kat looks haunted, constantly haunted.
Her eyes really. They both have really nice eyes.
They look like movie stars. So we were like, if they can halfway act, definitely. And then
She's a very
turns out they can both really act. So it was like, yes, perfect.
So the beginning of the movie you hear. Oh, have you seen Gone Girl?
Yeah.
So the beginning and ending of Gone Girl is the same shot,
Right.
and the same lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I'm like, "Yo, I did that 10 years."
Oh yeah, that's
before.
right. Yeah, with her face and
So,
the water
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So-
hey, David Fincher, fucking watching.
Yeah, you watching Lady of the Lake Ronkonkoma. So the beginning of my movie and the end of my movie is the same shot, same dialogue, but I directed Kat to read them in different ways.
Right.
So
okay,
she
yeah,
reads
yeah.
this line of dialogue in the beginning like she's mourning the death.
Right. Yeah.
And spoiler alert, at the end, she reads the same dialogue, but she's the murderer.
Damn. Just like Cody was dead the whole time.
Cody.
Dun, dun, dun.
Cody's fine.
No, in
Oh.
Paul's movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just like two twist endings, rather.
Yeah.
And I want to say this location right here, this is kind of like a little bit downriver from in Kings Park. It's a little downriver from one of the coolest hangout spots of all time.
There used to be like a tire swing there, right?
It was a rope swing.
Oh, rope swing.
And it was this little cove in the Nissaquag River. And like, you know, party boats would just not like big party boats, but like, you know, people with their boats would come and just park their boats in this little cove in the fucking river.
You showed me this spot.
Oh yeah, probably because of the rope swing.
No, you read the script and you said I have a spot for you.
Yeah, because
and then you took me here and I'm like, yes, let's do this.
Well, but what sucked is that we had to walk our equipment for like 5 or 10 minutes through the woods to get to these spots.
I love the spot because it cut out. It would cut the screen. It looked like almost storybook. Like it would cut the screen in a way that it would frame the screen. I'm sorry.
Okay, like the little inlets and shit.
Yeah, the way
right.
you shot it or the way I wanted you to shoot it, it would frame the screen in a certain way.
Right. And then this is another location.
Oh,
this is
freaking awesome.
Blydenburg Park. What is this?
Yeah, I think so.
This is another place in Smithtown. Yeah.
It was such a weird when you looked in the water.
Yeah, because it was only like 2.5 feet deep or something.
It looked like there was trees.
Yeah, it was like little fucking plankton or something. There's a freshwater lake, and it was like a series of lakes, and it was just a couple of feet where.
This is still one of the coolest things I've ever.
Yeah, this
filmed.
is great. This is really. We had 2 little boats here, and we just cruised around this little kind of campground area.
So yeah, me, you, and Ricky. We borrowed Ricky's motors. Ricky were on one boat.
Yeah,
was on one boat,
which was the camp. This was the camera boat, but that was like the boat we shot from.
Yeah,
which was like the crew boat.
Here we're holding on to them.
Yeah.
Like,
and we find out what their names are and how are they named.
Okay.
Well, Kat's name in the movie is Grace, which I named after my niece Gracie, who was like 4 at the time.
Right.
And Mike's name is Alan, who I named after my nephew Sage Allen,
right,
who was like 5 at the time.
My God, yeah, that's right. Yeah. But this is pretty weird for a no budget movie. We got some pretty nice shots from boats.
Hi, Kat.
And then you hear about like how terrible it is to shoot on the ocean. So we're just like, oh, it's going to be that bad, and we're like, no, it's a fucking lake. And it's like, oh yeah, it's pretty much just like standing on the ground. Well, that's a cool effect.
Yeah, that was cool. We're so cool. Dudes were cool. And then we did it again.
But you can see the bottom of the ground right there, which was only like maybe 3 feet max.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And we get all shaky.
But that's a cool effect. That was a hard shot to do because to not get the camera reflection in there, to angle it right, and then to have, this was in the middle of the lake, so standing in the boat was kind of precarious. And then to have Kat leaning over and then Tessie stand up behind her, and then the camera to kind of get a proper angle was like really hard.
That's also in Mike's pool in Comac.
That's right. Jump cut. Look at that.
And
Mike's just like, what do I do now?
Max tinted it green.
That's right. Yeah, because all the water. Oh, people love that right there. That's always gets you.
Because people will ask, how is she overpowering him? Well, he's also being pulled into the water.
That's right. It's like a double ghost, right?
Yeah.
It's a possession and a ghost.
Well, a lot of the questions I get was, is she like a murderer? Is she possessed? Yeah. She's possessed.
And
she has no clue. She has no clue that she's the one. So my idea of the story was the way that people die in this lake is that the lady possesses people who are sensitive because they're mourning already. So the princess would find someone who is vulnerable, possess them, and use them as like a conduit for her continued murders,
for her revenge. Because the story is a revenge story. Basically.
So sometimes
you can almost see Kat's boobs there too. Wet T-shirt contest.
So and yes, Kat did murder her boyfriend.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you that, like, because her story
and her visions, the vision she has of her boyfriend dying.
I like this shot. I just wish it was steadier, but this is a really cool reveal shot. Like, she's there the whole time.
Oh my god!
And Kat's expression there is great, and Tessie's just like mourning already. She's like, "I'm so sorry for what I had to do." You know, it's so cool.
Dude, that was so fast.
Yeah,
we're done.
We are done, man.
Yeah, wow.
Well, sort. Yeah, that's right.
Almost.
That's right. It just kind of goes to credits after this, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, the cool thing about doing anthologies is that I released my portion and I put it in film festivals, and I think you did the same.
Yeah, that's right. That was a major thing that was kind of smart to do, was
release it as a whole, because
we had about a year and change between like the movies actually all coming together. Mm-hmm. We had a couple of them done already, and we would kind of test them.
Craig DeLuca.
Okay. And then once the movie was done, we were always like, okay, you can take your part and just put it in festivals, and we all kind of did that. Yeah. So that
I know that I did it. You did it. I don't know if the other two were put in festivals.
Oh, Joel.
Oh, he did the music.
Yeah, that's
Joel
right.
Smith.
Yeah. I put it into a few film festivals. Yeah.
Myrta Vasquez.
That's right. Yeah.
She was fun to work with.
Yeah, all these people, man.
All these names, I miss each and every one of you.
God
I
bless them,
I wish we spent the last 10 years making movies together, but that didn't happen.
Fuck, man. This was a fun as hell experience, and probably a little too early for.
Do you remember at the premiere we Skyped in Paul?
Max did cut the thing. Oh yeah, we did Skype in Paul. Yeah. And Terry and Elizabeth couldn't make it, but we did Skype in Paul for the premiere. Yeah, that's right.
From France.
So
his face was on the big. It was like on the big screen, and that was like kind of the infancy of Skype.
That's right. Yeah.
And we utilized
Chris Ziegler. That was what. Okay. Yeah. So all these people, fucking goddamn, like virtual blowjobs for everybody because
and real
ones if you want to come by.
I'll just give a real one to Paul.
We'll service you all.
I miss you, Paul. I'll blow you. So our friend Dino Castelli, we met him when he auditioned.
Who was basically the assistant director of some of these, right?
Yeah, but we've worked with him a lot. You work with him constantly now.
Yeah, we have a business. Yeah,
but he auditioned for this movie. He auditioned for the role of James Alexander's role, and probably Dade's role. And then during the audition process, I went to the bathroom, and he stood at the urinal next to me, and he said, "I'm a big fan of your public access show." Yeah. And I'm like, that's awesome. And then and then when he showed up as an AD for Terry's movie, it's like, oh shit, you're that guy from the urinal conversation.
Right. You're the guy from the fucking bathroom.
Oh, I don't want to thank Vic Skolnick and Shar Sky. Oh god,
and
everyone
Dylan,
at Cinema Arts Center.
Dylan, the whole.
And we're running out of time. And thank you for listening to us babble. I hope this gave a little insight.
Oh, and all these people too. Yeah, thank you so much
on how to make movies with just $2,000.
Yeah, and no one gets to see it.
And
you can put it on YouTube. That's awesome.
The trick is find people that are die-hard workers that will work with you.
Look, it doesn't matter if it's a backyard movie with your friends or it's getting released big time, but just go make it.
Just make it.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
See you in the next 10 years.
Bye.
Not.